Welcome back to Middle-Aged Man Learns to Draw His Dog. If your goal is to grow in your art practice, or really in anything for that matter, in my experience, you want to usually be operating in the space of your limitations, that is, areas where you have weaknesses. This can be hard for anyone because it's not necessarily fun to work on areas where you don't feel confident. But I also think you could argue that it's even harder for busy people who are trying to grow an art practice, and I think especially hard when your art is not your primary source of income. Because when you're short on time and art is not making you the monies, do you really want to focus on the not fun, hard parts of your art? So how does a busy person grow their art practice? That's what I'm going to be talking about in this video, and part of this will also be what I'm discovering are limitations of the idea of just drawing every day. And as you can see here, we'll be viewing a drawing I did earlier in August that was my first attempt at using gouache. So buckle up for the excitement. Now for context, this channel exists to track my progress as I work toward, hopefully, one day becoming a professional illustrator. My strategy as a person with a non-creative 9-to-5 job and busy family life has been to simply draw my dog every day this year as I begin to learn the fundamentals of illustration. Okay, so on the topic of growing your art as a busy person, just to be clear, I'm not claiming to be an expert on these things. These are just my thoughts as I wrestle through these things right now for myself. And as I try and answer these questions for myself, the three main things that stand out to me are: 1, embrace living in the uncomfortable parts. 2, being strategic and intentional. And 3, protecting your energy as much as possible. Before I talk about those three things, it's important to say that I've been thinking about all this a lot recently because I've been realizing the limitations of just, quote unquote, just drawing every day. And I'll be brief here because I've talked about this in other videos before, but the strategy that's carried me through most of this year has been to just draw every day with not many other expectations beyond that. I think a lot of people need this kind of strategy like I did because you mostly just need momentum and to establish a reliable habit so that you have a way to start growing at all in your art. Just drawing every day with really no other expectations is also valuable, I think, because it really does start to train your nervous system to translate what your eyes see or what's in your mind to something that your hands can create on the page. But just drawing every day with no other expectations hits some real limitations eventually. For me, it can be easy to not be intentional with the time that I have and even to be rushed because, quite frankly, I'm rushed. I don't have a lot of time. And really, I've a lot of the time just simply been trying to get something on the page every day, and this made it easy to feel like I didn't have time to study a new topic about illustration or to do any kind of planning for any of my drawings. And when your daily drawing time is limited, it can also be easy to gravitate away from areas where you most need to grow because they're hard. And that leads us to my first part of my answer about how busy people grow in their art practice, and that's embracing living in the uncomfortable parts. I think you have to keep choosing to use the small amount of time that you have available in order to focus on the hard things. Not always, but probably most of the time. The hard things for me are carving out time to learn and practice the fundamentals, like practicing basic shapes and line quality, which really is just like, regularly drawing circles and squares and lines, which is, not really the exciting stuff, but I think it pays dividends in the quality of, being able to draw what you want to draw. And I think that there's also like a fundamental skill of planning and researching for your pieces, which I really need, I think, for where I'm at right now. And what I'm talking about is planning like the composition of a drawing, including like the lighting and color, but also designing characters and, kind of all of it. And I'm not saying that I don't enjoy those things, but I am saying that those things take a lot more work for me than just sitting down and drawing every day, whatever comes to my mind. And I think it can be tricky. For me, there's a constant dance between doing what is the focused, disciplined thing that will help me get better at a skill versus keeping my daily practice enjoyable. There's constantly a dance between those two things. If you never work on the disciplined things, the fundamental skills, then when you go to draw, you're not able to draw the things that you want to draw, at least as well as you'd like to, or you're not able to draw outside of a narrow area of comfort for your drawings, which was like my whole elementary school experience, where if you asked me to draw like Bart Simpson or Garfield, like I was your guy, but outside of that, I was like on the struggle bus. But like I said, it's a dance, and it's a constant dance, I think. In order to keep growing, I think there needs to be an increase, at least for me, in the drill type stuff, the fundamentals focus. And I think being okay with living in the uncomfortable parts, because of how they will help me enjoy my art, is a major part of continually growing. Now the next two parts are a lot more brief. As busy people, it is required to be strategic and intentional with the time that we have, if progress is something that we're really focused on. And I, of course, think it's totally okay to just want to regularly draw for just the pure enjoyment of it and not because you have like growth goals. I think that's totally okay, but I'm really only talking about when you have progress goals, growth goals. It might go without saying, but one thing that becomes quickly evident when you have a lot of commitments is if you're not intentional with your time will absolutely get away from you. I've been realizing that I really need to have a planning session at least every month and preferably every week so that I'm identifying the goals that I want to work on for my daily drawing sessions each week, and so that I'm not trying to figure that out when I sit down to draw every day. I'm also finding that I need to build in at least a day a week where I'm doing research and planning for specific drawings. Where I'm at in my growth process, I think I really need to be practicing drawing from reference most of the time, as well as spending time trying to plan things like composition and storytelling. And obviously that takes some extra planning. Ideally, I would have all the reference pictures and planning already completed for when I sit down to draw every day. And am I there yet? Am I doing those things yet? Nope. The last part of the answer for how busy people grow in their art practice, for me, has been a constant battle, and that is protecting your energy. Best case learning seems to me like it normally happens when your brain is firing on all cylinders. And that probably means you've gotten amazing sleep for like a week, and you've been eating and exercising like a champ, and you have a regular routine of warming up every day to get into peak creative state. But crap, is that a lot of boxes to try and check when you've got a day job and commitments and quality time with family, trying to maintain relationships with friends even, and then on top of all that trying to eke out some sort of downtime once in a while. So for me, instead of trying to perfectly align the stars and check all those boxes, I'm just always trying to make my drawing and learning time happen in the mornings, because I know I'm at my best in the morning. If I focus on this, it helps me work at getting to bed earlier, aka getting my whole family to bed earlier, and all the other exercise and nutrition kind of things. This one pays huge dividends when you can guard your energy, but at this point in my life, I'm convinced that it will always be a fight until maybe my kids can drive on their own, but a fight that is well worth never giving up on. If this has been helpful at all, please like and subscribe, and I'd love to hear how you've dealt with trying to grow as a creative, especially through seasons of, lots of commitments and busyness. If you're interested in seeing how I've dealt with fear of failure as I've tried to grow as an artist this year, please click on any of the videos on the screen. Thanks for watching.